best golfers in the world all do one thing, and they all have a bent trail wrist at impact. Now, I think this might be the most important component in the entire golf swing because that's what's going to control the loft, that's what's going to control your low point, and that's what's going to make you a better ball striker. So if you have an issue with top shots or chunky shots, I've got a feel for you, a drill, and most importantly, a practice routine that's going to totally change how you strike the golf ball. So subscribe and let's get to work. So when I get a student that comes to me that is leaning the handle back, not retaining any trail wrist bend, the first thing I get them to do is to feel the proper impact. And what you're going to need for that is an elastic band and a kettlebell or a weight or something that has a little bit of heft to it so it doesn't move. From there, what you're going to do is you're going to take your golf club, you're going to stick it in the rubber band. And from here, I'm going to have you simulate impact. So from a face-on view, I'm going to have you feel like you're going to take that kettlebell and drag it forward. Now, it's not going to move, but I need you to feel like you're going to drag it forward. And you're going to learn 3 main feels when you do that. Number 1, you need to have your weight forward as you're doing this drill. Because if you have your weight backwards, it's going to be really hard to keep the rubber band low to the ground, and you're going to be pulling off your back foot. This is not what we want impact to look like. I see a lot of this on my lesson tee where the handle of the club's leaning backwards, that trail wrist is actually bending backwards, and sometimes that trail hand is actually coming off the club because people are trying to flick the ball up into the air. You can see the club has the most loft as I do it this way, but as I start to increase the amount of weight on my lead foot, the loft lowers, and I feel like I can drag it further forward, and it's almost moving, and that's what I want you to feel. Number 2, this is incredibly important. Most people don't even know this exists, but I have a pressure point that I'm trying to feel. What that is a point on my right index finger right here where I'm going to apply even more pressure to the side of the shaft when I do this. So if I make a little trigger finger like this, I can actually put my hands on the golf club, take my index finger and my thumb off, and feel like I can push as hard as I can against that lead index finger to help support the club. Lastly, the last feel you're going to generate with this drill is from a down the line view. If you are the player that likes to over rotate, you're going to notice the rubber band is going to start to come in towards your ankles. We don't want that. We want to be able to have the right amount of turn and forward motion to support good golf shots. So I want to feel like I'm forward. I've got a pressure point pushing the club forward as well. And I want to make sure I've got a little bit of turn, not a ton of turn, but a little bit, just enough to feel like I can drag the kettlebell forward. That took a whole lot of effort, but if I was in the wrong positions, myself back, handle working up, I wouldn't have been able to move that kettlebell at all. It would have felt like more of a daunting task, and I probably would have hurt myself. And since it's January and some of you don't have the ability to get outside and practice, this is a great drill to do at home. So if you have the ability, all you need to do to fix your impact position can be something like this for a minute or 2 a day. If you do that, you can start to take that to the golf course or the practice range. So once you feel confident in that, and maybe you don't want to lug this to the driving range, how are you going to practice that on the driving range effectively? Well, the first thing I'm going to have you do is we can take off the lie angle tool, we can kick this out of the way, and we can start with a little drill that I call the drag drill. Now, I like to do this drill because it helps me feel that pressure point on my index finger, and it helps me feel the lateral shift, not the rotational shift. So what I want you to do is I want you to take that ball, put it way back in your stance. It's going to feel like the handle of the club's got a ton of forward shaft lean from this angle. And what I want you to do is I want you to drag that club, press that leading edge into the mat, keep pressing, and drag it, and flick it into the driving range. Now, when I say flick it, I don't mean lean back, flick it into the air and dump it. I mean, kind of shuffle past it, if you will, if like you were a hockey player. I want you to feel like the ball is back. We drag, and that ball takes off a little bit low and then rolls a little bit further. I've actually seen really interesting chip shots from players that start with it here and hit chip shots and never let the club leave the ground. But for you, say you work on your kettlebell drill and then you start working on the drag drill. You're going to notice as you do it, if you try to add a little rotation, you're going to start working backwards. We don't want that. We want to make sure it's always working forward. We apply a little pressure to that pressure point on our index finger, and we propel the ball forward. Never trying to go up, always forward. Let the loft of the club do the work. And now the last drill that you're going to do after you do the drag drill is called the flying wedge. And now my golfing machine people, they probably already know this, but this is a really popular drill to help bring the flight of your golf clubs down and maintain that trail wrist angle. So what the flying wedge is it's a typical shot where you set up to the golf ball. We're going to preset our weight a little bit forward for this. You're going to make small backswings. You're going to make sure you fully hinge the club, so make sure that trail wrist works this way and hinges the club vertically. And from there, you're going to strike the golf ball, and at impact, you're going to try to maintain that trail wrist bend, and you're going to try to stop the club as quickly as possible once you hit the golf ball. So it's going to look a little something like this. Vertically hinged, hit the golf ball, trail wrist bend. Now, I don't have a boatload of trail wrist bend. I have a little bit of it, which means I let some of it go at some point, but at impact, I had enough of it to bring the flight down. Now, what I would say is if you're going to practice this, start slow, maybe get like a little pitching wedge like myself, and practice striking the ball, stopping the club. A really good checkpoint for this would be from a down the line camera angle. If you were to hit the golf ball and you noticed the handle of the club is working in from down the line and the club is still out. It's out here. If you happen to be one of those players that tends to have the least amount of trail wrist bend, what you're going to notice is as you do this drill, the club is going to work its way behind you and the handle is going to work more out. So a checkpoint, again, would be the handle of the club's working in, up, and around, and the club head is still out in front of you. An even bigger bonus is if I kind of set up and go in this direction, through impact, if this was where impact is, the face is closed and the handle's forward. That would be a really good checkpoint. So if you can get some videos from down the line and check to make sure the handle is working up and around and the club head is still out, that would be a bonus. And do this 10, 15, 20 times as a start to your practice session. So you start with the drag drill, apply that pressure point to that index finger, and then you make it even bigger by doing some flying wedges. And you're going to notice the flight of all your wedges will come down. They'll go further. You'll control them a lot better. And this is going to make you a better ball striker. So if you haven't, go ahead, subscribe. Take a look at the previous video I posted last week. It was a real doozy. I think you'll like it. But more importantly, go try this. Leave a comment and let me know how it goes. I'm always more than happy to help you out with your golf swing. And do me a favor. Send me some videos. I always like looking at your golf swings, and I think I can help you out. Check out the link in the top right corner, and we'll check out your swings on Skillest. I'll see you next week.